and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By's Christmas episode, which is probably going up in January.
Woo! Considering it's still October here.
Jingle bells, do 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 do. I'm Chris,
already.
And joining me today are...
Ames,
Caitlin,
Jake,
and Liz.
What?
This is our first time having Liz and Caitlin on the same episode.
Just so that we could dispel the myth that we were the same person.
Oh,
yes, that's completely, factually, just completely debunked right now.
Yep.
Everyone can see this as proof.
And they can tell our voices apart.
Sure.
Very easily, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Liz and I used to have another podcast, and when I would edit that podcast, I wouldn't know if it was me or Liz sometimes, because we both have
forgot what you
sensuous baritone voices. No, I would be like, wow, I sound really smart today.
Baritone.
Wouldn't the term be contralto?
Yeah,
Whatever we need to tell ourselves. You're the music person. You do the singings.
Oh, I do, but I often... But I also was a low enough singer that sometimes we just
boring.
sing...
That's what I'm saying. Contralto.
Sure, we're contraltos. We'll go with it.
It's like a cement mixer going.
That's what our voices sound like to you?
Right.
Hey, don't knock those gifts over.
I'll save them.
Thank you, Liz.
Who put them there?
Some asshole.
Will you let me touch it?
Yeah, that
Well,
was
some
that
asshole
was
got water all
he's
over
a
the
good
floor
boy.
here.
He won't fight.
That asshole.
It was me.
Wait, I can pick this one up?
Yeah, he's a good boy.
Yeah, that's White Cat.
He will let you pick him up.
Oh yeah, White Cat's alright. But these gifts are already here, so should we grab the other gifts?
Well, I figured we'd do the gifts at the end.
No.
Oh, we're doing them now?
Oh, well, speaking of now, considering what episode this is and what's going to happen in this episode,
yes.
and I know you're all on the edge of your seats, and I just want to break the surface tension early and just get this out of the way.
Please do.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name.
Bow, 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 bow.
And they're always glad you came.
Oh.
Bow, bow.
Oh boy,
Balancing
sticky
a
here.
checkbook.
All right.
Yes, so... Liz is grabbing gifts for me.
Oh, we're doing
I'm a
gifts.
helper.
Now,
Let's keep bossing Liz around.
sorry, well, she was
That's
closer.
why we invited Liz over.
And also, because
She's already holiday
we
elf.
didn't think this through, we don't have presents for Liz, so Liz has wine that she will open while we do this.
She's
All for
gonna
me.
put the wine in her face.
For those of you who aren't festive, I'll put in a thing in the description to say what to skip to actually get to the episode.
No, this is exciting.
But if you do that, you're a bad
This
person.
is riveting radio right here.
All right,
Open that wine, Liz.
More on Christmas.
Doing it.
Jake, this is yours.
Oh,
This
thank
cork
you.
is-
Ames.
Could that be a bigger,
enormous.
more ridiculous
Very
box for
good.
the gift that it is?
Oh yeah, we also failed miserably at wrapping the gifts, so they're
I
just
wrapped
in
them
random
fine.
boxes.
Wrapping
Yeah.
is overrated.
No, actually, the one.
Waste of
Thank you,
paper.
Ames.
Research.
And Caitlin gets the one that says ho ho ho.
Oh, thanks.
Oh.
Here's one for
It says
Chris.
my name on it
It's
3
upside down.
times.
Oh, so it is.
And here
There
it
we
is.
Ooh.
Caitlin, here's for
Whoa.
Caitlin. It's a very big
Ooh.
box.
So yes, we got double gifts because Jake apparently.
Well, these are more from the heart. These are things I made with my own
Nice.
2 hands.
Horgong butt plug.
And my
Horgong butt plug.
and my plastic extruding machine.
Oh,
Yay.
yes, that's right. Jake has a 3D
So-
printer he's been printing Horgons with.
What should we open first?
have Ames go first, so she can
Ames
put down
go
that
first.
enormous
Mine's already
box.
open.
Get the giant
Don't
box.
talk about
off the
Ames'
table.
giant box. Why is your giant box on the table to begin with, Ames?
It is
Can I sniff that?
Yeah. I'm wondering if I should get an ice
Not,
for it.
not Ames' giant box.
a notebook with Judge Q that says I am judging
Smells
you,
of banana.
which is very me.
Doesn't it?
Yes, I thought
Ames'
so.
gift smells
Yes.
of banana?
No,
Because I'm
wine.
very judgmental.
Everyone knows
Her
this.
big box
And it's
smells like
Quay.
banana.
Everyone wants Quay.
Okay.
Uh,
Who's
No, no, no,
next?
no, no.
All right.
Well, let's go in order.
So
and
me?
then we'll cut. Yeah.
So Caitlin. All right, I'm gonna open this one first.
I wonder what it could be.
It's a Horgon!
Yay!
I'm gonna put it in my butt.
Nice.
No, I'm not.
Now don't mix
It's
them
not
up.
gonna come back
'cause-
out easier though.
Yeah, that.
No, because we had a lengthy discussion last week about how you would need to get rid of these little side bits if you were actually going to put this in your ass.
Yes, correct. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
glad you had a correct discussion.
Yes,
about
no,
this.
I'm not going to put it in my ass.
Good.
Ooh! Next gen coloring book.
Woo, woo,
Thank you, Ames.
It's got some of your favorite friends.
It's the fish monsters!
Yay! It only goes up
Handsome
to what?
species.
Season 3 we learned.
Well, so they can do a second one later.
So I assume there'll be another coloring book in the future.
Yeah.
That's
probably
beardy.
Gifted to Caitlin.
Thank you.
Yay.
That's cute.
Oh shit, it's a Borg.
A Brog Prog. Alright, I'll do mine.
Borg.
Mine is also in an unmarked box. A piece of foam with oh, how appropriate for
yes.
our show today.
What does it say? Even I can't see it.
It is a mug that says Captain Morgan Bateson spiced rum.
What?
And it's a picture of Captain Morgan Bateson,
which will soon become relevant.
famously played by Kelsey Grammer from Cheers.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you very much. That is very appropriate.
Right. Well, the kitties are trying to get into the
I will treasure it for moments.
We made a mistake and have boxes all over the place now.
All right, so I'm opening mine.
Oh shit, is this Pulaski getting ready to get stuffed with trumpets?
Yes!
It's a book I've almost bought many times.
It's new. It literally just came out this month.
I know, and I almost pre-ordered it like 5 times.
Well, I'm glad you didn't. Or I hope you didn't.
Oh, I should probably take it off my wish list. It's the Star Trek Shipyard Starfleet ships 2151 to 2293. The Encyclopedia of Star Trek ships. Very up to date. All big front and center is the Discovery, and the Shenzhou is there, but also the original Enterprise and the NX-1 and the Phoenix.
Picture to scale, is the Discovery really that big compared to the Enterprise?
I think
no, because look, the
Phoenix is enormous. Yeah, but the Discovery is quite long. But
that's true.
We'll get a better look in season 2 to compare.
Nice.
Let me know if you buy the sequels to this.
Vape.
Yeah, because there's
the next
one
batches. Otherwise, I'll just keep gifting them to you every year.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. Yeah, because the other one covers like basically the TNG era.
Yeah, it covers 20. What does that go to?
2294.
Yeah, so whatever the next year after that.
20.
To the future.
Yeah.
There's another one of alien ships, I believe.
Oh, I didn't know about that one. And from the heart, I have. Oh God, that's adorable.
Oh my God, is it Groot?
You 3D printed that?
I made him a Groot.
Oh my God, I love him.
It's a baby Groot just sitting looking perplexed.
It's really good, dude.
Yeah,
I didn't actually design it.
What did you paint his eyes with?
Whatever, you made it print. You didn't fuck that up. You did great.
Well
Senor.
I did have to paint the eyes.
What did you paint it with?
I just painted the eyes.
With what, black paint?
It was just some black paint.
Okay.
That was
let me see the eyes.
Wait, so it comes out brown already?
Yeah, he has brown.
Well,
it comes out brown already. That's what you said.
I did, but
hashtag diary.
Yeah, it's
actually
very much.
So
it's actually the stuff is actually
in there.
Oh,
Wood.
that's the wood because that's
what
the Horgons are made out of.
Oh.
So it's like a wood infused plastic.
Oh, neato.
The future is astounding.
Yes.
What?
Welcome to the future.
This looks.
Have you tried that wine yet?
I have, and I put an ice cube in it like a suburban mom.
How is it?
No, this is a what's
this
it called?
is Hardwick Vineyard and Winery Pioneer Pumpkin grape wine, like it needs to be specified as grape
that kind of wine
with pumpkin and spice.
Yes, and listeners will be happy to know that this was a gift from our past guest star Justice, and we're gonna drink it with friends in a very ceremonial setting.
Oh, are we?
Okay, Liz is going to drink the whole bottle in a very ceremonial
We're
setting.
going to watch her do it.
Liz is going to be shit-faced by the end of this episode.
Woo! Kitty!
She's going to be talking about how she
God,
lusts
take that.
after Captain Bateson's beard.
Am I wrong that this looks a lot like Chris Pine?
Let me see.
It does look like Chris Pine. It's what, Beardless Riker?
Oh my God,
Is
yeah.
it supposed to be Beardless Riker?
It
Yeah,
is.
It is Riker.
Well, it looks a lot like Chris Pine.
Yeah, they forgot like half his jaw.
Ooh, it's tasty wine. It's not bad. I like the spiciness of it.
Maybe in the Star
Would you
Trek
like an ice
TNG reboot, they will bring Chris Pine to play Riker.
I am irate that of all the scenes from Naked Now, they picked Bev and Picard and not Tasha being sultry.
I was going to say, that's really the most memorable part of The Naked Now is Tasha and Data. I literally remember no other part of it.
Oh, this is a picture of Data holding Lore's head. I'll be making out with this one after I color it in.
All right.
That's not true.
Well,
thank you for gifts, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
It
And
was truly a gift.
with the holidays out of the way, happy January, everyone. Let's start off.
Happy Epiphany!
Yeah, I don't know when in January this is going up exactly. This could be up like in late January. Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Inauguration Day.
Happy birthday!
So, with that, let's get down to business.
What are we doing this week?
The Huns.
Well, could we scoot that first because it's going to be crinkly otherwise. So this week we will be looking at The Outcast, and...
And
Cause
Polaroid
and
picture.
Effect. In The Outcast, the Enterprise crew are assisting the Genii, who are looking for a small ship of theirs that has gone missing. But really, that's just a pretext for them to meet up with the Genii, who are a genderless race from the planet...
I don't know if I wrote it down.
Yeah, no,
Deniland.
I thought you would write it down as that's the name of their shuttle. The Minas Tirith. Terrace Mern. Anywho, so Riker's hanging out with Soren. No, not that one. And
Soren?
there will be in
We haven't read them
Generations.
yet.
Oh, sure.
And, they are going to be Riker's co-pilot. And they, have a lot of discussions about, Riker's all like, no
pronoun
gender,
do
I
I
don't
use?"
get it!
And then they're like, what's your genitalia like?
Yes, which makes things weird.
Huge.
And it eventually...
You probably haven't seen a lot of human genitalia, but rest assured, mine is enormous.
So they hit it off, and finally Janai admits that... Soren admits that she is in fact a she.
Witter paid it.
What is on her species considered a throwback, because she did mention earlier that they did have two genders once, then evolved beyond it, but there are people who are born on their world sometimes who feel they are, male or female, and she's been hooking up with dudes in her free time. And
Dudes who know they're dudes and don't think that they're genderless.
Yeah, but they gotta keep it secret, because this is a horrible, terrible, backwards society where when people are seen as deviants, they're forced into horrible psychological torture to quote-unquote fix them.
Yeah, that sounds
it's a
familiar.
good thing that doesn't happen in civilized cultures.
That's like, it never happens in our society.
But some shitty douche nozzle, basically works out that Soren's, getting busy and has seduced Riker, and,
Or vice versa?
Yes.
column A, column B.
I feel like...
But,
I don't know.
so she's brought before the tribunal,
It was all that genitalia talk.
and Riker,
She started it.
yeah, bursts in and is all, no, she didn't, I was, pressuring her until she was like, no, this isn't how we do, it was all my fault. And she's like, no, I have to be honest, and she gives a big impassioned speech, but this is one of those episodes where big impassioned speeches don't work. And
like how it would be in a real court of law.
Yeah, and Riker's all like, well, fuck the Prime Directive, this is one of the times it's stupid. And Picard is like, look, I can't technically sanction this, but I am going to sort of kind of look the other way. And Worf is all like, look, I don't get it, but let's kick some ass.
Well, also, he finds them uncomfortable, so he's probably excited to rough them up a little.
Man.
I think he was like, oh man, one of them wants to have gender, and that's something I can understand. I'm for that.
I think he's mostly just
That
down
makes
for
sense.
hitting people that probably can't, Worf him. So,
Yeah, he's been made to look like a bitch by lots of bitches lately.
there's a rescue mission on, but unfortunately they're too late. And Soren is all like, no, I was sick and I'm better now. And it's really, really just quite fucking sad.
Yeah.
And we end on Jonathan Frakes just looking a really good mix of both angry and depressed.
And
Still
completely
horny, though.
dead
Oh,
inside.
That's a phrase I was going to use.
Dead inside?
We're two different
Horny
people.
inside.
Not the same person.
No.
In stereo where available?
Yes, this is not an audio trick at all.
In Cause and Effect, we open with the Enterprise kerploding.
Woo!
And then it isn't kerploded.
What?
And then we go through the same day multiple times, every time ending with the ship kerploding.
Every time more boring.
But every time more people are like, wait a minute. And there's a whole deja vu thing, and there's echoey voices, and Bev breaks a wine glass.
But she was good at poker in one of those
She was.
go-throughs. So
She was.
good job,
She
Bev.
got screwed by the time loop, because the only one that counts is the one where she didn't kick Riker's ass. But yeah, they work out that they're caught in a time loop that keeps ending with them crashing into this other ship that appears out of nowhere. And they're like, all right, we figured out techno-babbly stuff. We're going to purposely implant post-hypnotic suggestion, basically, into Data. And in the last loop, they keep seeing threes everywhere. And then it gets to the pivotal moment where it's like... Because the thing is, they keep crashing into the ship, and it's like... Two ideas are presented. Riker says, let's just blow the main shuttle bay so we'll push out of the way. And then Data's like, no, let's use the tractor beam. And Picard is like, yes, the computer's probably right. Tractor beam! But no, the computer was wrong. And so Data sees all these threes, and he's like, wait a minute. Three pips, shuttle bay. They blast out of the way. They don't hit the other ship. they're all like, what's that other ship? And it's a ship that hasn't been in service in like 80 years. They're like, this is gonna be awkward. And they go beep, beep, boop. And there's Kelsey Grammer, and he's in a sweet Wrath of Khan uniform, complete with appropriate turtleneck, thank you. And he's all like, of course I know what year it is, Captain. How are you? And
80 years ago.
Jean-Luc is all like, this is gonna be awkward.
Oh, there's scrambled eggs all over his face.
Oh.
And that is where the canonical story of the USS Bozeman ends. But there is a novel, which we will discuss later.
That's also not true where it ends,
No.
canonically.
No.
Really?
It's mentioned on screen in First Contact.
They come back for End Generations. They're in both of those.
There's a whole series called Bozeman.
Oh, that's right. The Bozeman's at the...
The Bozeman is at the Battle of Earth.
Yes, I forgot about that. But we don't see...
We don't see it.
Yeah.
But it is mentioned on screen.
Yes, although...
Assumingly it's the same Bozeman.
Yeah, presumably. Well, and that novel kind of fills in the gap. It is, in fact, the Bozeman A.
Wow. Is it still captained by Morgan Bateman?
Yep.
Bateson?
It is.
Anyway, let's come back to cause and effect
We
a
will,
little bit.
yes. Because first
and
we have to discuss...
get uncomfortable with the Outcast.
Oh, Christ. So, this is an episode I actually know I'd seen.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I'd seen this one, too. Only last time I saw it was called
The
Half a
Orville?
Life.
Oh. There's also an
there's
Orville
also a
episode that is a direct rip.
I think you
copycat
told us
Orville
about that
episode
one.
of this one. Yeah.
Actually, you have. I don't know if you did it on air or not, but
The
you have.
The Orville is best when it's taking ideas that it knows works, I think.
But, so the problem, of course, the
Plagiarism.
The Orville's better when they're not writing their own show.
Plagiarism.
Okay.
The only assured way to win.
How many times have we said, oh, this Star Trek episode was based on a different short story by somebody else, or this, or this, or this?
The
It happens
Orville
to
seems to be
everybody.
stealing
Shakespeare
almost
stole from everyone.
almost entirely from TNG.
Yeah, but the thing is, when it's in the same genre, and when the Orville is basically, admittedly, a Star Trek
Parody.
It's not. I wouldn't even call it a parody. I would call it a Star Trek
Inspired show.
pastiche.
Ooh.
I feel like again,
Coloring.
parody or pastiche. Those both imply that it's making some sort of fun of the thing that it's.
True.
When in fact they're
Taking
making
after.
it less fun.
Well, they're really just they're reshooting the same scripts with more jokes.
Being fair, it's not a complete...
Yeah, tribute. I like tribute.
It's not a complete Star Trek ripoff, because the ships look more like something out of Galaxy Quest.
That's true.
I do like their ship, but anyway.
What did they steal from Buck Rogers?
Something, I'm sure.
Oh.
The sexually unappealing lead being lusted after by people? Sorry, Gil Gerard.
No idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yes, the Outcast, though, is all I remembered was that it ended poorly. Like, that was the one thing I remembered. Was like,
Poorly for whom? For the audience or for the characters?
The
Yes.
characters. That,
Okay.
Like, I remember that, they're gonna get her, and they don't get to her before they zap her brain, and it's gonna be sad.
They're not really going to wait till tomorrow.
Fuckers.
I think that this episode brings up a lot. I mean, because obviously, I think with our present zeitgeist,
Riker was the least woke person on that ship.
I think we see it as like a trans episode, and it is.
Yeah,
but I
that
think
wasn't
it
really
has turned into one,
in the news
yeah.
at the time.
I think at the time it was certainly more of I'm assuming a gay episode.
Yeah.
We had
Star
this-
Trek trying the gay.
Yeah, Roddenberry even, told them you should have more, I would support you having gay characters on the ship as actual characters, not just, someone holding hands with someone of the same sex in the background kind of a thing. But they didn't do that. And I know,
Paramount.
who knows? I wouldn't be surprised.
It always seems to be yeah, but then
Oh, someone
the
wouldn't
suit
agree
at
to this,
Paramount
yeah,
was like,
right.
"Meh, meh, 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 meh."
We still need to be big in the South or whoever.
Blah, blah, American
executive
values,
stuff.
blah.
Yeah.
What I think this is a
Oh, but Roddenberry's
Star
dead
Trek
anyway.
saying, hey, remember a few weeks ago when we made you sympathize with Worf wanting to commit suicide? Well, fuck you. Here's why you're wrong. Because doing something because your culture says it's right is not always true.
It's true. Yeah, this culture sucks. Like,
So are we talking about the episode or the darkest timeline that we currently live in?
I mean, if you look at it, this is one aspect of their culture that sucks. I don't know anything else about their culture, to be honest.
Yeah, their fashion is pretty bad, too.
Fashion was bad. That one haircut that everybody had.
That
great.
was pretty bad.
Yeah, I like that their idea of androgynous meant give everyone a worse version of the Vulcan haircut.
And have them all be played by women.
Yeah, all be played by women.
There were a few men, I think.
No,
I don't think
there
They
were.
were
I
all
did
women
not,
as far as I could
I
find.
did not see any men.
Yeah, and I know...
Or I didn't see anybody that presented male.
No, in the
it's
credits, everything I found was referencing actresses. This
Yeah,
is an
and I
actress,
know-
this actress.
And I know Jonathan Frakes has criticized this episode for not having male
They
actors
could
play
have got
any
that
of the
dude
Jedi.
back from Angel 1. The
little fella.
little fella. He could have
he was good.
played an
We liked him.
androgynous character.
Yeah, and I know...
Oh, wasn't he also
He was in the
body
Offspring.
Lol? Yeah.
Oh.
He was
I-
Lol
oh,
in the
that's
like
right, I
horrible
forgot that.
bland head before
So
Lol
there you
picked the
go.
body.
Lol, the definition of
Yeah.
genderless.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think this is one of those episodes that stands up for me because in the early 90s, when it was obviously a gay thing, it was effective, and I think today it remains effective. Only the conversation that it's effective about has changed.
I mean, it still works though. When we have a vice president in office right now who used to be vocally in favor of corrective therapy, and I'm sure is still in favor of it, but learned to
in the right conference
keep
room.
his opinion to himself.
Ironically, they used electric shock therapy to keep him from talking about how much he likes electric shock therapy all the time.
Hilarious.
But yes, you're right. It has taken on a new dimension.
Yeah. And I think there's always going to be something in our society that could echo this.
Oh yeah, well there'll always be.
There's
bigots.
always an other, an
Yeah.
outcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really
It's
deep, Jake.
Yeah.
It's a really good conversation. I still think I hated the execution of this episode.
It was because it was really clumsy. This entire episode, everything was so gender essentialist, as so heteronormative, so cisnormative. Like everything was just sort of like men. Women wear makeup and we have long hair, and men pretend they don't have
except
feelings.
for Yar and whoever else.
Yeah, except like this was like what 1992.
Yeah.
So we're coming out of the hair bands of the 80s and we're going into like grunge. This was not a norm that was really
Can we
enforced.
forget
Like
the
54.
hair bands of the 80s though?
Nope,
Most
never.
of their music was terrible.
Disagree.
Those are fighting words.
And the aesthetic was terrible.
If we talk about the fashion on Star Trek,
it's
the
terrible.
women other than Yar,
Yeah,
most of the
the
women that we
haircuts are
see
crazy.
have
Ro
long
has
hair.
Ro has like a bob.
Yeah.
Yeah, her hair changes though. So.
Pulaski's is midline.
Well,
That's because
Pulaski
she has
has
the old lady
old
perm.
lady
old
perm,
lady
yeah.
perm, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I could say, yes, I agree. But I could see from the perspective of the characters, from the only women that Soren had seen, that they're probably, or she's probably like, okay, yeah, longer hair, color on the face. Got it.
But like on a broader level, just like looking on a meta level, like that's kind of damning for the show, and like that's trying to cover this sort of like, no, there's complete equality. I can't even remember a time when women were considered inferior, but like,
And then you talk to the Klingons who won't let women serve on the council.
the Klingon raised on Earth. Like, being a dick about it. It's just, like, there's so much talk, like, the battle of the sexes and all that bullshit. It's like, no, like, this is something you should have moved past at this point.
Oh,
Like,
well,
that should not be a
this
thing.
poker game is a
everything.
women's game.
This show
Yeah.
Yeah,
is
that was a good one.
so I was saying this to somebody recently. I was like, sometimes it feels like TOS was better with women than TNG is.
I think we're expecting more from TNG.
We are, is
Yes.
the thing.
I think we give TOS
a much bigger
pass.
break, yeah.
I think we're holding TNG up a little higher in that
Yeah.
regard. And rightly so. It's 20 years later.
Yeah.
And things should be different.
Yeah.
And they really did fuck up all of the female main characters.
Yeah, no, very badly. I will say, though, I guess with this one, I was like going into it, I was like, oh, I remember vaguely what this is about. Oh, how bad is the execution gonna be? So I went in, like, with negative expectations. So I think I'm a little more forgiving of it because I was like, oh, this is gonna...
So
and there were still definitely, don't get me wrong, there were some cringy-ass fucking moments.
There were a lot
It
of
has good
those.
moments and it has ridiculous moments.
I was expecting like 90% of it to be awful.
Riker describing what a penis looks like.
I mean, after Angel
Yeah, that
1,
would be
So this is
which
a
was,
sausage.
you know, the last time they really tried to deal with, like,
Oh,
gender
God,
politics.
that nightmare of an episode.
You know, the bar was set pretty low.
That's true.
So,
I think the only thing I went into this episode knowing was that there was an Orville episode very similar to it, and I think the Orville episode was much better than this.
Oh.
I don't know, because I think that... So, the oral episode...
And I know, like, our
know,
other folk here haven't seen it yet.
So, brief
but-
spoiler on the Orville episode. Sorry.
Not
But
sorry.
In the Orville, the Outcast isn't an adult person. The Outcast is an infant that was born with female genitalia on a species that is all male. And this is something that happens. It happens once in a while. And when it does happen, just like like gender assignment that they do if there's ambiguous genitalia, it's like, oh well, when this does happen, we just fix it. We just go in and we sew a penis on there and it's all good. So that was and then the parents of the infant are one of them's like, yeah, well we should do that because that's what we do in our culture, and the other one's like, no. Our baby is perfect and we should let her be a girl. And then it ends, spoilers, basically how this one ends. They have a trial and the baby becomes boy in the show. So anyway, yeah, I think making it a baby on the Orville is kind of like a little extra
That's true,
twist of the knife.
Well, yeah, because the baby can't make its own decisions.
Yeah, but I also like having the perspective of the person that is the focus, right? I like the idea that Soren has a voice in this. Yeah. And that...
Yeah, her appeal in the trial was really good.
Yeah.
Too bad everything before that was all just talking about junk.
Well, no, there was another good moment that Soren has when she first comes out to Riker.
Yeah,
and
that
she
sequence
talks
is
about,
really good.
we seek each other out, always hiding, always terrified of being discovered. And he's like, when did you know you were different? And she's like, I've known all my life. It wasn't until I was older that I knew how. Those were, very humanizing moments that probably, a lot of the 90s audience needed to hear because that short... this was still, in the middle of the AIDS crisis. People weren't talking about this.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and it's really another thing that this had me think about, because obviously the whole procedure that they do is an analogy for gay conversion therapy, which was a huge thing and still to an extent is, thankfully much less, but it really made me think. There was a story on Radiolab fairly recently about one of the guys that was sort of considered the forefather of CBT. Was one of his early, not experiments, but one of his early developments of CBT was for, quote unquote, helping gay men who came to him who were, feeling isolated and didn't want to be gay and were, in cases, suicidal. So even though this doctor who didn't sound like a particularly awful, man, was viewing it at the time in the 60s like, oh, well, I'm helping these people. I mean, they're clearly having a bad time, and
it's also their decision.
And this is their decision, and it's something that I can help them with,
helping them to find the peace that they want.
Yeah, and I think
that's tough.
Yeah, and obviously as time went on, as cultural understandings about sexuality changed, as and as various things changed, it's become an abhorrent practice, rightly so. Yeah. And it's and I feel like that was sort of the thing that they were going for in the episode, where it's like, fixing again in quotes the gendered member of society is, that's a mercy, that's helping, we're fixing someone's illness, that's a problem, because otherwise they'll be unhappy and will live a life of misery and be outcast.
It's very interesting because I know there was both praise and criticism from the LGBT community when this came out. And there was also, lots of pushback from far writers who said, I want to see the other side of the argument. And you're like, oh, guy, no, you stay out of this episode.
No.
Stay out of Star Trek, please.
But one thing that I read that I'm not sure where they're coming from, is that there were, people from the gay community saying that they felt that this episode sanctioned brainwash therapy and that they were just washing their hands of the issue of, portraying homosexuality. And it's like, I don't know where they got that idea, because it's very clear that everyone says that it's an atrocity.
Yeah. It's a tragedy. It's like, that's the light it's painted in.
Well, yeah, but at the end, she's like super happy and is like, why would I want to go back to that other
been
way?
brainwashed.
Well, yeah, but arguably that doesn't that prove it right? If she's like, yeah, but I'm so happy, why would I ever want to do this other thing?
Let's check back in around 5 years.
What do you do at that point, right?
We saw this side of paradise where everyone was happy with the jizz flowers, and they were like, no, you cannot be happy.
Or Landrew.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's certainly not a ideal situation for anybody.
No.
The thing I think this episode lacked was a more substantive discussion of the Prime Directive, because it does.
Yep, there's that motherfucker again.
Yeah, this one felt weird.
Like it felt like there would be a moment where Picard and Riker and and they would have that argument, and Picard would have to make the same decision. But then again, I feel like that would draw this episode even more into a relitigation of Half-a-Life, which I feel like if the scenario they're the same, very similar stories, they're just the scenario is different, A cultural norm.
Someone falling in love in a day.
Someone falling in love in a day. And
it was like 2 days.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
We don't know how long they were together before we joined the episode.
It's true.
Soren and Riker?
Yeah, but he
the people in general.
Riker only became aware of the attraction later, I think.
That was one thing I thought was a little weird in this episode, though. Was he pops by hey, Deanna, so I'm fucking this person. I'm like, do you drop by every time you're screwing somebody?
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, it's cool, buddy. We're friends. And I'm just sitting there like, you're not friends.
Yeah, I wrote in my notes.
Is Maddie...
The Troy-Riker relationship is just so inconsistent, because some days they're like, oh, you're still my Amzadi, there's still this sexual tension, and some days it's like, no, we're totally over each other, and we just know we have this shared past.
I also think, though, that attitudes on sex, the suggestion has been that there's some evolved attitudes towards sex, and that
came directly out of Roddenberry.
Yeah.
And
I don't want to think about what came out of Roddenberry.
Maybe you can have two loves. I don't know. In this time, maybe that's more of a socially acceptable thing to do.
So you think you're saying you think they were fuck buddies?
Yeah, I don't know. Possibly.
I would totally not be surprised if that was the case with those two.
Yeah.
I
think especially in terms of Beta Z women in particular, we might have a discussion about this next week about some of the more liberal sexual.
Well, anything Loaxana does is liberal and sexual.
Let me expose myself to this child.
Oh God! But
it's normal in
I guess
culture.
it's her wedding.
But they also did a skinny dip in a mud bath.
Oh, well,
I'll get that. That's next week.
Next time.
I think the other angle that I was trying to read, parse for that scene with Troy and Riker was because I'm looking at how other characters were reacting to the issue in general, and Troy was the most chill with everything going on.
Yeah.
Worf was sitting there they just make me uncomfortable.
Did you know, Liz? She's an empath. I don't know if that made it into an episode yet. It might not have.
James, I sense sarcasm from you.
You might be an empath.
But
wow. You should teach Troy some tricks.
So, but it's almost like I was trying to figure out how I could parse it into what this is all allegorical for. So it's almost like Riker being hey, I'm seeing someone who is non-binary, or or maybe I'm seeing someone who is another gender or something like that. And that, so this is happening, and Troy being that's totally cool. I'm fine with that. Doesn't bother me because I'm not an asshole. That's the best I can get out of that scene.
She can still be an asshole.
Oh, she absolutely can still be an asshole. It's true.
And Picard is just I wish my crew would stop fucking people.
Well, Picard is one to talk.
Stop fucking the aliens. Fuck each other.
Wow.
Every time he turns around.
We don't need more Alexanders on the ship.
Every time.
When you fuck an alien, it's going to complicate shit every time.
Well, see, let's think about this, right?
It didn't complicate it when he fucked, Ames. No,
Nash?
No.
When he fucked Ames?
No, when Riker fucked,
Angel 1.
No.
That complicated things.
The chick on Justice.
I don't know. Was that the one who was played by B.B. Newirth? Or
No.
whoever?
Oh.
That's true.
Nothing was complicated
In first
there.
person. I
In
still
don't
fact,
think they
she
fucked.
helped him
They
sneak.
fucked.
I don't know.
They fucked.
They
No, they
fucked.
fucked.
Okay.
So, but most recently, so this episode we got Riker. He's fucking things up with his penis.
Yep.
A few weeks ago, Deanna was fucking things up because she fucked the head of the Masterpiece Society.
Mm-hmm.
These people are all the Wally of this show.
Worf, fucked Killar, and she's like, P.S. you have a son. And then he's like, well, now I have to get revenge because fucking, not Darmok, Duras killed her.
Darmok and Jalad.
Who else? Has anyone else fucked anyone and caused trouble?
Every time, I mean,
Everybody
there's
all the
a lot.
time.
There's a lot of. fucking-
Yeah, it's a pretty common trope.
Wesley and his girlfriend, who was actually like a bugbear monster.
Oh yeah, she almost was like, I want to abandon my duties.
I don't think they fucked.
No,
but
they didn't,
did the
but-
13-year-old equivalent of fuck, which is, I assume, like second base.
Probably.
Yeah, and I know
Probably
we're gonna-
copped a feel.
Under
gonna-
the shirt, over the bra, probably.
Yeah.
We're gonna.
Yeah.
I happen
Space
to know
Bra.
we're gonna run into
Space
this
Bra.
in a couple of weeks with Picard, which is why
good.
Picard should keep his fucking mouth shut.
Yeah.
Data and the computer.
Hot. I should.
That's how we got Lol.
Data was someone I wish we'd heard more from in this episode because he's like here's the thing he is a construct, so he is gendered and he is created with a sex presentation, but he's not a sexual human being.
Oh, but he's anatomically
But
correct.
he's programmed
And he's
such.
yeah,
so like
functional.
in many different types of pleasure
But
or
he could-
whatever.
I see what you're saying. I also think
Yeah.
Data could serve as a really interesting audience surrogate
Yeah.
to
He had,
have a conversation with Geordi or something about
he had
gender.
one
Jordan
line
doesn't know
about
anything
it, I think.
about gender.
He'd be like, go to the holodeck and
relationships.
bring up Leah Brahms' dick version.
Here's
and
my other
you'll learn
question. I
Everything
have-
you need.
and Jordy, this is his first time with a beard, I think.
Oh, I hated it.
We saw a moment of it, but
When
yeah,
it-
it's not great.
When it showed up, I was like, Riker saying, Jordy, it's not my beard that attracts women. Stop copying
I
me.
made the same jokes.
Stop
Stop
copying me.
scopies me. I was just going to say that too. Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yep, Jordy's
He's
Jordy's
like, oh,
like,
but it worked
ah.
for Data. And he's just like, that's because Data's less of a creep than you.
So here's a question.
Yes.
So there's lots of questions that these races have for each other. I don't know why they can't just Wikipedia each other to be like, what are their cultures about this? We've already even met the Binars. The Binars are a genderless race.
Yeah, do your fucking homework.
Like,
Well-
this isn't
Also, this
uncommon.
hard.
Now, from Riker's side, yeah, like, dude, just do your fucking homework. I wouldn't be surprised if even looking into that sort of stuff
It was
from their
taboo.
side is considered like, it's like,
It's
why-
suspicious.
Why do you even care?
It's like having the word bomb in your email or whatever.
Yeah, it's like,
Well, now this podcast
We're on
is
a
going to
list.
be on a list.
Thanks.
you know how many times we've made fun of Trump where, believe me, Putin knows who we are and he has snipers trained on us at all times.
Sweet.
Next time I come here, I'm bringing a laser
Been
pointer
feeling
just
a
so I
little
can freak you out a little
polonium.
bit.
The part where I actually shouted at Riker was when he's like, I don't know, like, what to call you, like, if I can't use a gendered pronoun. I'm like, they've been fucking gendered
There have been
pronouns
gendered
exist-
pronouns for
centuries.
probably centuries, yeah.
The singular
Well,
they
that-
has been used for centuries.
That is the fault of a bunch of late Victorian grammarians who decided you couldn't use they.
Well, because you just default to the default human being, which is a man.
No, I know. There's also some other stupid bullshit that I don't
Oh,
remember
yeah,
what it
sure
was.
there's
But,
that.
but
Yeah,
like,
but
literally,
also,
like...
like,
they
even-
weren't very
how
fucking
old is-
imaginative about how things were going to be 400 years later.
Like, even
Like,
if it-
really, you didn't think by then they would have come up with something? Even if it was a word that doesn't actually exist in the 1990s.
There
they
were
were like,
several
oh,
that
well,
existed
we
in the
call them-
1990s.
But like, even if they didn't want to use one of them,
Yeah.
If I
they
may
could be
quote...
like,
something
oh,
else.
he, she,
You may
and
not.
Z, or...
Exactly.
If I may quote my
Fine.
own notes, though, because I had a
Yeah.
similar note,
Yeah.
They!
Yeah.
Ugh! Oh, also, this is one thing I thought was bullshit.
Yep.
For all the thing I accept in this episode, for all
Yep.
the shit I dealt with,
Yes.
fuck you, Riker, with your dad having a split pea soup recipe you're really fond of. Everything we know about your relationship is you two
Yes.
were really awkward together. All of a sudden, it's like, oh yeah, I have these warm memories of my... No, fuck you, he
Did you
does
notice
not.
they didn't even finish the fucking soup? No one in this show ever finishes their
Well, they're-
fucking
they're-
soup.
Yeah, but that's because split peas...
Go on. Yes.
Woo! That's because split pea soup is gross.
No,
Well, there's
a good split pea soup is amazing.
Yeah, well, theirs looked watery and nasty, so someone fucked up in the kitchen.
A production reason why on television oftentimes food goes uneaten.
Because it's not actually edible?
Well,
because it'll make different takes impossible to shoot.
Because you're doing many takes, so if the level of the soup changes from shot to shot.
Oh, I love when that shit happens and makes it through the
so
edit.
they want to avoid that. And then the other thing is, considering you might have to do 10 or more takes and do different angles and different setups, you could end up eating like a gallon of split pea soup, which nobody wants to do.
And it will have gotten cold.
And it'll get cold and gross.
Yeah.
So I think that's a more, it's not that people don't like eating, it's that nobody
it's a bad
wants
idea.
My dad has his gazpacho recipe.
I was angry at Riker because none of this seems like his job. Like, suddenly he's in charge of the null space team, and he's in charge of fixing the shuttlecraft afterwards.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's a really good pilot.
And he's in charge of doing all the science stuff that should be Data's or Geordi's or Wesley's or name anyone else you've ever heard of on the show's job.
But here's the thing, because no other character other than Riker could have done this plot. Could have done this story.
Yeah, but
it would have been creepy if it were Geordi.
If it were Geordi, it would be creepy.
Yeah.
Worf would not have understood.
Data would have been like, you want me to reinstall program?
Data would not have understood.
Yeah. He'd have meant well, but he'd have fucked it up.
He wouldn't have understood, but he would have tried to write a good protocol for it and would have fucked it up.
Horribly.
You're not my mother! Or whatever he said that time.
Oh my god.
And we already have way too many love plots for Bev and Troy.
Yeah.
Every other
but
plot
never
of theirs.
between Bev and Troy.
Interesting.
I'm sure there's some fanfic.
The Paramount suits are getting all antsy.
And neither Bev or Troy would have been applicable for this plot to deal
Why not?
Well, because it's the freaking null space. Why would
what could
Troy have to offer in null space?
She could
sense something about it.
Empathy.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the gender, you could just have if they didn't want to go lesbian with it, they could have gone and said that Soren identified male, which would have been more interesting, potentially. Just the fact that it's played by a female actor, and I don't know, I think that would have been more interesting.
They would have just switched that so that they were all played by male actors in that case, though.
Of course they would have.
Yeah. Because why take chances?
Why?
That never got Star Trek anywhere.
Why upset people? Why upset the racists?
Star Trek was always in favor of the status quo.
Oh, that was what I was thinking. I was thinking, in terms of Worf, I'm actually proud of Worf because...
Worf hates wild cards.
He's got an interesting arc, sort of.
Because
I
feel like he's like the guy that was brought up in a really racist household and taught that all the racist tropes, and then went out into the real world, saw what people are like, and is like slowly realizing,
yeah, like he's not starting from from a completely damning point. Like he's not spouting like super hate speech about the Janai. Yeah. He's just vocally uncomfortable, and then by the end of it, he's like, it's almost like I don't understand it, but I don't have to understand it to be cool about it.
Here's what Worf understands.
Because they're bros.
He sees the Janai and says, "Oh, they have such sad, pathetic head ridges. I must help them."
But I feel like that kind of like Worf's little like mini arc is almost like this is like showing people the lowest bar they can accomplish. The ones who are out there like, I don't understand the gays. It's like, you don't have to be a reasonable human fucking being, audience. Look at the Klingon.
That is kind of how I thought of it, though. It was almost like by the end, it's like, look, man, I don't get it, but I'm going to help you.
Yes, exactly.
Let's get your girlfriend back. Also,
let's make sure your girlfriend stays your girlfriend.
Let's punch people.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, I think my biggest gripe with this episode definitely comes down to not having the conversation about the Prime Directive or about,
let's cower behind it again.
No, literally, as soon as he went to talk to him, I was like, oh, good. Time to hear how the Prime Directive won't allow us to tamper with this fucking obviously terrible society.
Like, I'm sorry. I know maybe this is like... Stop hiding behind it. Drives me crazy.
But that's what they do. That's how it works. That's why you have
bullshit.
It's to protect you from having to make hard decisions.
They probably could have talked more about the Prime Directive, but they really wanted to, give you as many awkward scenes with her, like, hinting about wanting to know what his genitals are like. They would have had to cut.
What do you mean hinting? She outright said, tell me about your genitals.
Yeah, the second time, but the first time, she's kind of like, what is it like to be male?
To be female. Or have two genders. She's talking to Crusher about that.
Yeah.
Because Riker was the one who started with that stupid fucking question. Like, what's it like not having a gender?
Sugar and spice!
Oh, God.
I wanted to punch him in the face.
Idiot.
I was like, that doesn't make any sense. You would never, like... If the Jeopardy clue was, like, male or female, a bi-gender system, someone wouldn't be like, what is sugar and spice and nips and snails and puppy dog tails, Alex? Like, that would not be acceptable.
Snips.
Whatever, snips, snails.
I'm sorry, we can't accept that. The answer was snips. Yeah.
Thank you.
Nip slips.
What is...
But they would miss it.
Cunts
as
and cocks.
No!
No, nip slips.
Oh,
peacocks
that's
and
painful.
pecunts.
Peacocks and pecans.
Yeah.
Ah.
But it would be one of those ones where they would catch it after the commercial. So they're like, oh, we've had a correction. So you're losing $2,000. We're sorry.
And each
Andy.
of the other contestants gets $2,000 because they might have gotten it right.
No, I don't think that usually happens.
They did that on Wheel of Fortune, I
Oh, well,
thought.
Wheel,
that's
Wheel is
bullshit.
dumb, but Jeopardy doesn't do that
Jesus.
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, you holding the bottle there?
You want some wine?
Yes, please.
All right.
Holding the wine into
Ooh,
your
very good
face.
Foley.
Thank you. I've been mine.
Thank you.
Aw, yes.
Oh,
You want a sip, Jake?
No, thank you.
It's actually really nice.
I believe
And
you.
I really do not like pumpkin
Wait,
spice.
hold out these glasses. We're in our last drops here. We're gonna kill it off.
Soldier down.
Okay, I'm just gonna keep distributing.
All right, come on. Let's
Keep
wrap it up.
distributing. This is science! Here, I'm just gonna get the
So,
rest of it.
you know what
There
else?
you go.
You put it out
wasn't-
for my homie, by which I mean you got my phone.
I wasn't very
got a
impressed
case.
with Gene Luck in this one.
Who?
With what?
With Picard.
Jean Luck.
Oh,
Pickard.
Jean-Luc.
I
I was
don't
like,
like
Gene
Chris.
Luck?
I'm
didn't
decided
have
I'm
much
taking
of a
your
presence.
Christmas present back.
Can I have it?
No, but he doesn't have
He
much
just-
of a
yeah, he-
presence.
yeah, he didn't
Like,
do
I have
much.
that
But the one
too.
thing he does do is he's like, you're going to risk It's like, damn it, man. If you can't risk everything
For the
you've
one you
worked
love.
for the sake of doing what you feel is right.
The thing is, why is it the Federation's job to fix backward cultures?
Oh, they're to fix backward cultures. He just wants to free that person.
To let her have asylum on the ship?
Yeah.
She never asked
Yeah,
for it.
that's the one thing. She never does ask
Yeah,
for...
Timothy asked for sanctuary.
No, I know. I also, though, feel like... I still feel like these assholes would let the Janai into the Federation, though, without making them, like, stop committing atrocities.
Well, the Klingons commit atrocities all the time.
They're
The
allies,
Klingons
not
aren't
part
yet-
of the
they're
Federation.
not actually part of the Federation.
That's true.
Now, having said that, we have probably seen other cultures that are allowed into the Federation. That's the thing. It's like, look, guys, I get, like, you don't want a homogenized civilization. That's not the point.
No, but they're a common agreed upon.
Exactly. Like, you gotta
Laws
have a
and principles.
line somewhere.
Like the laws within the EU, laws vary from country to country, but there are
Right.
still broader international agreements, in the EU as a whole.
But they don't seem to demand that of anyone, which I'm like,
No.
Yeah, because the law is the prime directive.
and it's a
Yeah.
stupid law thought up by assholes.
I know
Yeah,
there
I don't
is
know.
very good reason for the prime directive.
I know, and there are...
There
You
is,
can't
it's
you
just-
can't walk into name a country and say you're gonna run it this way because fuck you guys.
No, I agree
but
with
we
that.
do it all
But
the
we
time.
do it all the time.
I agree. Well,
Yeah.
the thing, they're the Federation. They're technically better than us.
There's a,
But,
Technically,
again, I'm
technically.
at least saying... Well, I mean, admirals. But what I'm saying is,
No,
like...
I agree with you.
Yeah,
It's a
technically.
lot of bad admirals.
You can't storm into a planet that isn't yours and be like, this is how you're doing things. But you
Nazi
could go,
planet.
all right, if we're going to let you into our club, it's time to cut out this shit. Now, you don't have to cut it out unless you want to join our club. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but the Janai aren't asking to be part of the Federation.
No, I know, but
You're
I'm
just hypotheticalizing.
but I'm still willing to bet those motherfuckers,
Hypothesizing, yes.
if they
Yeah, that's how it
applied
goes.
tomorrow, they'd be like, sure, we don't need you to change
Wait,
anything about your terrible
have-
culture.
do you
I was
have
gonna say,
dilithium
only if they
crystal?
have dilithium.
Like, it's a little... I mean, I kind of like that bullshit is there, because it does show the, like... There is no such thing as a utopia. It allows there to be fault, and, everyone can be better. If they were perfect, they'd be boring. But every so often, I'm just like, oh, you motherfuckers!
So, what do you think at the end of this episode, the intent of the people that created it, the writers,
The episode?
yes, do you think they intended us to feel bad for Riker?
Because he didn't get to get his rocks
Because
off?
he didn't get it.
He got his rocks off.
Because he was sad, and they made it a big point to show how sad he was. but they didn't really, like, the last we see of Soren is
she's
happy.
going back, or they've now gone back to their life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, I don't know. It's just something that occurred to me that the way it ended felt a little.
It focuses on the man.
Yeah, on his thing.
Yeah.
But I love you. I'm sorry. Ooh.
But then again, how else could it have gone? Because
he's a main character.
Yeah,
Well,
we know
and also-
she's
and
not
also,
gonna
like,
jump on ship.
yeah, and we're
for the
not
rest of
going
the
to
series.
get, like, from their perspective, it's all good at that point.
Brain has been fried.
Their brain has
I'm ready
been
to
fried.
re-enter society and do the things that
So
everyone
really
expects me to do.
So
all
really,
the
the
time.
only point of view that we have to experience that's part of the story is Riker.
At the same time, that our last shot of Soren could have been questioning their ending.
That's even more.
Like, there could have been a
that's
lingering
even
shot on
more
Soren.
Sad though. That's even
Oh
more.
God, yeah. Why not
upsetting.
crank up the tragedy? This
Like,
is a sad
I
episode.
like the idea. I hate what they did, but I like the idea that
Let's kill
Soren
Timothy again.
Is legitimately happy.
Yeah, but
Because I don't like
how-
the idea that Soren is living the rest of their life.
Brainwashed happy is different from legitimately
That's
happy.
the thing. Like, I mean, because otherwise, if we're like, oh well, at least Soren is happy, then we are doing the thing that the gay community critics were saying, which is saying like, oh, they can be happy being converted, which is not really like. I mean, I don't think
That's
anyone
right.
here would agree with
but
that.
I think the difference is that like our gay conversion therapy is bullshit, and this thing actually maybe works.
Maybe.
I guess I
we
don't
know
know.
that. This is made
Well, that's
up.
what I'm saying. I don't.
Oh
know.
no, as far as I am concerned, my headcanon is like it probably eventually just drives the poor bastard insane.
Like, it could wear off at some point and need re-upping. It could,
Yeah.
it's just...
Yeah,
it's
I don't
compulsive.
know. I'm just saying I don't know.
that's
You
what
know what I
we are
mean?
making
I have no
assumptions
idea
about
how
the efficacy
good
of
or bad it is.
Yeah.
Like, I think that it's still tragic. Like, I feel like I've sort of put myself in a position where it almost sounds like I'm like, yeah, gay conversion therapy is great. I don't. I think it's
No,
fucking
you don't
awful.
sound like that at all.
Okay, great. Because at first I was like worried. I was like, ugh. But I don't think it's like tragic necessarily because we don't know whether or not she'll be or they'll be happy, but it's just because like this had to happen to begin with. Like you said, this artificial happiness, like even if the therapy totally works forever and they're totally happy doing what they're doing, they're still not really living their truth.
It's not necessarily the same Soren anymore.
Right. They're
Right.
being
This
put
is a
into
changed person.
Right, and they're being put into a
Of
box
course.
like where they're supposed to be, and it's bullshit. So I don't feel bad for. I didn't leave this episode feeling really bad for Riker. I mean, I felt a little bad for Riker because he obviously cared about her. But
Riker's got lots of other fish he can...
yeah, he'll
fish
be
in his
fine.
sea that you can
Next
catch.
episode, he'll be humping somebody else.
Yeah, we know how to
but
move on.
I mean, I
but
think
Soren
the
is...
key
for
too was
her,
like
them.
it ended with Riker, like I said in the intro, was like, and credit to Frakes because that's a hard thing to pull off. But he looked sad, but he also looked really cross at the same time. Like,
No, because he's manly frustrated.
Oh yeah, are we done here? Number one.
Well, I was gonna say how
Yup.
much of it was him not getting his way, and how much of it was.
No, I think I don't know. I'm projecting a lot onto poor Riker, but I think
It's that beard. You
I
gotta.
think it probably I think it's legitimate
yeah, like
sadness that
Yeah, he's shown to legitimately care for Soren.
yeah. Speaking as someone who up until this point has been largely indifferent towards Riker, you know,
that beard.
you'll have been like, he's fine, but I don't see the big deal. This episode, I read it in such a way that I think he went up in my estimation a lot. Like, it seemed legit. It didn't just seem like he didn't get his way. Like, I feel like he'd have been just as happy if he got her out of there, and then she was like, a week later was like, yeah, look, this has been fun, but I met this guy in hydroponics. Like...
He would have been totally cool about it.
Yeah, it's like, it's as long as you're okay and happy and not brainwashed, that's great.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
that's-
to the point that it was they made it clear that this was serious enough that he went to talk to Troy about it.
Yeah.
Because as we previously mentioned, it's not like every like alien he fucks, he's gonna. Go
I mean, I
talk
should
to Troy
hope
about
not,
it.
because otherwise...
I mean, he might though.
Otherwise, he would just be
Oh,
like,
no.
he would just be Archer. Not- Lana, guess who got it in? Yeah.
Troy!
What?
Danger zone.
What?
Archer?
Sure. Anyway, we've been talking about the Outcast for a long, long time.
I guess so.
We
It's
should
a-
probably move on.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not really much to say about cause and effect, though, because it's literally just a loop of the same 6 boring fucking minutes, and then they figure it out, and it's over.
Hang on.
Thank God.
What?
I didn't really care about this episode.
Oh no, this episode is epic.
Oh, no, I thought it was
It's
boring.
amazing
I thought it was
storytelling.
really boring.
Okay, Caitlin's off the podcast. Luckily, Liz is here.
Hello!
But we're the same person. I mean, not
And I am
the
Caitlin.
same son of a bitch.
This is a fantastic episode. I don't know what's wrong
I
with
felt
you.
like it felt like a
Not
retread. I
even
feel like
right-
we've seen an
Frasier
episode
related.
that was similar to this at some point.
Was that the
Time
Picard
Squared
one?
with Dumb Picard.
Yeah.
Basically it's like they did Times Squared right. In the how do we have a time travel episode where it's looping back in on itself and have them solve it in a way that isn't stupid.
Oh, is it also like Clues? Was Clues one where they did the same thing over and over again?
Nah, they redid it once.
So close
Yeah.
enough, is what you're saying.
That was the one where
That wasn't
like,
a time travel one. That was when they were just...
yeah, that was a faux loop.
I know, I just...
Floop.
Oh, yeah.
I'm over the floops.
Well, this one also reminded me of, what was the other one not too long ago? Is it Remember Me?
Yeah, with
Crusher?
Bev, yeah.
Yeah, like she seems to be the first one to pick up on weirdness. Like it happens in this
You'd think
episode.
it'd be Troy, but no, Bev is better at
No,
this
but
than Troy.
Troy was like, nope, everything's fine.
I sense nothing.
I'm
They,
so
they
bad
didn't feel
at
like they didn't
poker.
feel like paying for Whoopi for this one because I feel like she really
yeah.
should have been the one because she
Oh,
was the
God.
one that knew they were in the wrong timeline.
Walking through it looking horrified at people.
Yeah, like I feel like if anyone should have been like,
Maybe that's why I didn't like the episode. Maybe I was just missing Guinan.
Guinan.
I just
That
thought it
makes
was...
sense.
I
Guinan was
just-
probably like curled in the fetal position in her quarters, just screaming
coming
from all
out.
the voices.
I'm waiting until it's over.
or she was just like, you know what? I'm not here to solve all these honkies' problems every week. They can figure this one out for themselves. And she just sits there with a tequila being like, or she's going, you know what? You know, it's kind of like Groundhog Day. She's like, this isn't going to count tomorrow. I'm eating this whole sheet cake.
Oh, that'd be brilliant. You know what's hilarious is that
Wasn't that a
Groundhog
Teen Fay
Day
joke?
came out a year after this. So
What?
clearly,
Wow!
Groundhog Day was based on this episode.
I thought Groundhog Day was first.
Nope.
Oh my god.
I'm not going to lie. I've actually never seen Groundhog Day. I just know he
you
ends up...
moron.
You've
Groundhog
never
Day
seen
is
Groundhog
amazing.
I know.
Day?
I don't see how you can not like this episode,
Wow,
but,
you moron.
but actually like Groundhog Day, because
Who says I like Groundhog
Oh,
Day?
you
I've
don't
just
like-
seen it. I think it's fine. I don't know.
Groundhog Day is one of the best movies.
Yeah, but Groundhog Day... Okay, here's the difference between Groundhog Day was that, like, it was more actively changing all the time. It wasn't just, like... I don't know. I just found this boring.
But wasn't that a thing in that? Like, he like, realizes that he's reliving the same day. He can, like, just
Yeah, Bill Murray retains
do
his
whatever,
memories.
because it's all...
No one in this retains their memories.
No, that's true. They sort of slowly start
Yeah,
to
but
piece together
because
that
of the
something's
Dekion
funky.
field, they remember. They
Yeah,
have.
they do remember some. They remember some things. They
They have
remember the
deja
cars. and-
vus.
Yeah.
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 And it's not remembering, it's having that moment of deja vu, like something is familiar.
Yeah, but they're
Or
calling the
kickback,
cards
or
as they're
whatever.
being dealt.
Kickbacks?
But that's, I feel like, more like, that's an instinct, that's not a memory. That's like,
I'm gonna disagree with you there, but okay.
I'm going to disagree with you there.
All right.
I actually.
Does that
do
mean
have,
I'm back on the podcast?
I have a major complaint about this episode. A real,
Let's hear it.
Do you, buddy?
serious complaint. The
Toss salad, scrambled
time to do certain things is different in different loops.
Yes.
And,
That.
it's,
mhm.
and I actually went back and timed it.
Yep.
In one instance where I knew I could get an objective measurement was in the first loop from the time Worf says, "I hope so,"
to Data not...
to Data
doing the
not
cards.
stacking the deck
Yep.
until the
Data
time
totally stacks the deck.
that Alyssa calls Crusher is 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
In the final loop, Worf makes the same statement, and Alyssa calls 1 minute later.
So I did think about this. Oh, wait. Did
Nope.
you have a theory?
I was gonna say, like, just because we're only seeing the poker game and people getting their deja vu and their behavior changing in that, doesn't mean that Jory isn't somewhere having weird thoughts about, like, I feel like I've been here before, and that would affect his
He
own
would have gotten
behavior.
he would have gotten to sickbay faster, maybe.
Well, no, because
Exactly.
his incident was specifically... Well, so first of all, one assumption I've made is that the poker game, like when the camera starts rolling on the poker game, is literally the beginning of the loop. There's no time before that's not part of the loop.
Yeah, but
That
he could
makes
be getting
sense.
dizzy on the catwalk while they're starting their poker game, right?
Yeah, but it still takes 2.5 minutes for him to
Maybe
to
he
get
decided to
sick
book
bay.
it one day. In one instance.
Maybe
I
he
find that highly
transported
dubious.
himself.
Okay,
Maybe he
so
stopped himself before he got dizzy
So
on the
so evidence number 2
Okay.
is, and this I don't have an objective measurement on it, but this is more from observation. So in the second to last loop, after Crusher wakes up,
Crushes her glass.
after Crusher wakes up, breaks the glass,
Opa.
in the second to last loop, She gets out the tricorder. She records the sounds. She calls down to engineering, where they're already looking for Dekion shit. And they're like, yeah, we picked something up too. And then they have their little meeting and they listen to it and they extract the voices and they get the 3 sound bites. And then they have the meeting in the conference room. And then, in the second to last loop, they have the meeting in the conference room. Everything goes... They play the sound clips, and then they say, we have a plan. We're going to build Data this turbo encabulator to send a message into the next loop. And then they go off and they build the turbo encabulator and do whatever they need to do. And then it's right as they've installed it into Data's head that they encounter the anomaly. Mm. In the very last loop, everything happens exactly the same. Mm-hmm. Up until the conference room, they play the 3 sound clips, and then they immediately encounter the anomaly. Mm. There's no time to build the turbo encabulator in that timeline. Yeah. So
there's definitely some wonkiness there.
So I think, I'm just saying, and there's other points as well. Those are just 2 that I wanted to mention. But there are other points where the timeline appears to shift between.
Yeah. Well, is time consistent in all instances of the time loop?
Well, their meeting is definitely earlier in one of them because Bev says something about like, sorry, this is so early, but it couldn't wait till 1700 hours.
It was actually so that's the other thing.
0700 hours.
That's the other thing too. So the original meeting was at 0700. The meeting that they have in the second loop, which is really the first full loop that we see. So the first loop is the one in the cold open where we just see the
explosion.
Second loop
best teaser ever.
Is the first one where we see pretty much the full thing. They have the meeting at 0700 and Bev just mentions that she heard voices in her quarters and that other people did too. And they're like, okay, well, we'll keep an eye on it. Mm. And then it's not until... So that was the normal morning meeting. The meetings in the final 2 loops, those were in the middle of the night. Because Bev woke up, recorded the sound, went to engineering, they extracted the stuff, and then they called like an emergency meeting. But in the first, or I should say in the second loop, they didn't encounter the anomaly until they were in the morning meeting. Worf wasn't in the meeting. He's the one that called up to say, hey, there's a weird shit outside. So it wasn't until after 700 hours in the second loop and the third loop that we get the anomaly. But in the last 2 loops, apparently we're getting those anomalies in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So either they're moving faster or something has changed that's not accounted for.
So I can't...
Sorry.
You first.
I'm going to talk anyway. So we see there's a little graphic that Geordi shows when they're figuring out what the fuck is going on. And there's a little graphic of showing the ship going, and then jumping back to the beginning. Going, jumping back to the beginning. It's just the ship doing a little kind of loop thing on the screen. Mm-hmm. But sometimes the little loop goes past a certain line, and sometimes the little lines in the graphic are kind of wobbly and wavy. So maybe time is wibbly wobbly. And it's inconsistent in how much time it's going to take.
But it's not like they're sped up at all. It's not like they're behaving.
Well, I'm just saying we spent a lot of time talking about one nitpick.
Okay, here's another.
Wait! Before the nitpick, though, I did have one thing.
Too much nitpick.
I can't explain all of the inconsistencies, but the one I had maybe for the Geordi one was that as the time loop has been repeating, it's causing him to feel the effects earlier.
Mm. Also, he's really missing the beard from last week. So he's been obviously stroking his face thusly, wishing beard were there, which causes the nothing. I got nothing else.
His equilibrium is off because he's the aerodynamic dimensions of his face are just fucked.
I did also see Ro Laren in this episode, and my comment was, Ro, did you let Geordi cut your hair?
It did look funky. It was weird. I didn't like it.
Oh,
god damn.
Yeah, you didn't get it at first, did you?
No, I didn't. Because I remember thinking her haircut looked weird.
So, another thing. Now, I'm going to get out my calculator here.
No, are you on this?
You're not even doing the nasal voice for this.
So Worf says at the end that they were 17.4 days off.
Mm-hmm. But the episode didn't take 17.4 days.
Well, so I was trying to estimate how many loops they would have had to go through.
Well, how do we know how long the loop was?
We can estimate, right?
Because they went to bed and woke up the next day.
Right. So we know that it starts in the evening
when they're playing poker.
Because they're playing poker.
There's a lot of poker this week. This is a good poker week.
I do like to play poker. Well, Data must be really excited about his program. No help for the Klingon. Too rich for my blood. Anyway.
So they're playing poker, so that's presumably evening. I'm going to say 7, 8 o'clock. And we know that they encounter the anomaly at the morning meeting, which starts at 7 o'clock the following day. So I think we're looking at probably 11 or 12 hours. So,
sure.
So since it's 17.4, right? Mm-hmm. We know that it has to be a full number of loops because, right?
Because they just break it.
Right, they just break it. So it's a fixed number of loops that they've been in. So 17.4
days, wasn't it?
Days.
Yes.
Right.
So what would go? Well, I guess we don't. So what's 0.4 hour? What's 0.4 of a day? What's 6 hours? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So 17 times 24, 408 plus
17.4 times.
So 414 hours.
No, I'm getting 417.6. I did 17.4 times 24. Yeah, it gives me 417.6. Because I'm counting the 0.4.
Oh, because 0.4, yeah, 4/10
times 24.
4/10 of a day, not a fourth of a day.
Which is
I'm an
0.25.
idiot.
Yeah, we know.
I'm an idiot.
So it's 417.6 hours.
Okay. All right. Let's round it to 417. Round it down, even though we should.
That's so imprecise. This is science.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So.
We have another one to record after this.
What goes into?
You're doing great.
Well, they're doing math.
I'm gonna say
No,
each one is 11 hours because I get when I divide 417 by 11, I get 37.909090 repeating. So I'm gonna say with that little extra overlap there, it's actually 38 loops that they were in for.
It's a whole lot of loops.
It's a lot of loops.
Really glad we didn't have to watch all of them.
Boo, Caitlin.
Yeah, it's all good.
Anywho.
Also,
Kelsey Grammer shows up. Pretty
he
cool.
does. Oh.
Briefly.
They were supposed to, or they were planning on having Savick back in the background.
Oh.
Really?
In the ship.
Because they were both on Cheers?
Yep. Basically, that is why.
Oh, they were going to try to get
Kirstie
Kirstie Alley.
Yeah.
No less. Wow.
But that didn't work out, so they cut that. And also, I think they realized it wouldn't have made sense timeline-wise, or they would have had...
They should have had BB Newirth back as a super alien fucker.
It wouldn't...
How did she get off her planet?
It wouldn't have made any sense because I looked into this. I was reading up on the
Soya's class?
Not just that, but
Bozeman?
the Bozeman.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, this is the earliest canonical appearance of the Wrath of Khan uniforms because the year Kelsey Grammer quotes as being from is like 2 to 3 years before Wrath of Khan was set.
Oh, interesting.
So Savick couldn't have been on that ship because that would have destroyed
they also
everything.
They also originally
Cannon
meant
would not have liked that.
Yeah, they originally meant it to be a Constitution class ship, and something I don't know why it didn't work.
So from what I read, they considered doing a completely original class, and they realized no money for that.
I've never read that.
Then there was talk. I saw that on Memory Alpha.
I read Memory Alpha.
Let's fight.
But
let's do the math again. Ooh.
They also discuss it not just being Constitution class, but pre-movie Constitution class, which would have forced it to be even older.
Like the original?
And we would have seen Kelsey Grammer in a silly yellow shirt.
Oh, that would have been great.
It would have.
He would have looked bad in it.
He would have looked terrible in
And
it.
he wouldn't look good in green.
No.
Or yellow.
Yellow-green.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, so the Soyuz class, because of monetary constraints, ended up being a modified Miranda.
I'm sorry to say that at first I was like, oh, is that like the Enterprise? And I was like, no, that's clearly not a Constitution class ship. And then I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, they used the Reliant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they changed it. They took that
They took the roll bar off and they extended.
Where's the roll bar? What the fuck do they mean by roll bar?
The torpedo launcher on the Reliant was above the saucer.
That's the part of the go-kart that keeps you from dying if you roll.
But yeah, it's good sort of
So now when they're go-karting in the Miranda class,
yes.
So for the Soyuz class, they replaced the roll bar with like a cannon.
Well, so they
looked like a like a...
They're sensor pods.
Oh.
Above and below, and they also added sort of an extended tail section. Because the thing is, you have to do something really distinct, because the Miranda class is meant to be a modular class.
This is the most boring episode.
So to make it not just a Miranda, they had to do more than just...
It's not boring. I have lots of great more stuff to talk about.
Book for ships of this era.
Hey, let's talk about something interesting for a change.
Oh,
I have a thought about...
Go ahead. Liz, please.
I don't know.
I've talked a lot.
Okay.
You have talked a lot.
Well, one thing I thought was interesting, aside from some of the weird angles, camera angles.
Well, that's because they redid each scene every time. They never used the same scene twice.
Oh, really?
Huh. Because that's how
I actually wondered about that. I figured they must have reshot, but I'm glad you have the answer.
Yeah, they did reshoot, and also Frakes directed this, so he had to come up with what all the shots would be.
Yeah, there's some creative upward. Like there was a shot between Geordi and Crusher where the camera slowly drifted down and was looking up at them by the end of it.
There was one from above the conference table, just looking down.
Yeah, and some
He's probably just hoping to see down their
shots.
shirt.
Yeah.
Well, but I also this was kind of neat. It's not exactly a high bar to achieve, but this was kind of the antithesis of a trope where everyone just sort of keeps the weird thoughts to themselves and doesn't talk to anyone else about it because that's how so many movies or TV shows will try to create conflict. It's like no one's if everyone just has a 3-minute conversation, the plot would be resolved. Here it was no, you're having weird thoughts too. We're all having weird thoughts. Let's do a poll. Is everyone having weird thoughts? Everyone's having weird thoughts. We agree that.
How many people have seen 3s today? Everyone has seen 3s today.
3 really? Is that your cue? That's what you chose to go with?
3 is a magic number.
Yeah, well, that felt the most arbitrary. We're I know the
3
pips. I'm aware of the pips.
Yeah, it was dumb.
Yeah, but it's not dumb because.
But what if in that timeline, Data didn't happen to look over her shoulder? What if in that timeline, Riker was across the bridge?
But here's the thing. Well, there is the across the bridge thing, but I would say in terms of Data, it's perfect because he programmed the message specifically for himself. So he would have known something that he recently looked at or thought about that would have triggered Riker in his mind.
Data knows himself very well, biblically.
Data could have just, instead of just repeating 3 all the time, Data could have sent himself a message in fucking binary.
Or it could have said, Riker!
There's that too.
He did not have time to write Riker. He had time to hit 3.
He thinks
also, how would you say Riker in the poker game?
The other thing,
you can't
too,
say
is
Riker in a
like
poker game. I mean, granted, he does stack the deck, and that's
one
proven.
king... I don't know. I don't know what the R's would be.
I think...
None of them have dicks on them.
It is a little bit of... it's a stretch objectively, but I think if you accept that Data programs the message and can make a message that's tailored to himself, that he would know that the number 3 would trigger him to think about Riker's pips.
Maybe he always associates the number 3 with Riker's pips.
I'm always thinking about Riker's pips.
Oh. I'm uncomfortable.
3 inches, the length of Riker's dick. Hard.
Those are real inches or man inches, i.e. centimeters?
Well, if you're going at warp 9, then...
No, not this again.
1 Riker, 1 inch!
Oh my.
He's not a married man, ladies and gentlemen.
No, that's true.
But, what was I... Oh, the other thing, too, yeah, so in terms of the length of the message, I'm guessing he wanted to do something that would be... Because it was only going to be, subconsciously picked up by him. He had to do something that wasn't super complicated, because he'd have to be assured that he would get the message in the next loop. So I think a number 3 is something that he was probably yeah, this will work. I'm making excuses for the episode. But it works for me. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, so am I.
Meh. Ro was in this episode barely.
Barely, yeah.
I'm glad that
and her hair.
She did have different hair.
It's not that bad.
I didn't like it.
Pretty bad.
I had a similar haircut when I was a kid.
Oh, I'm sorry, Liz.
I had it cut short to my ear in a bob, and then the
why
rest
did
below
why did it come out so far in the back?
Oh, it didn't do that. But it was it was just
she
a
had
short
a fin.
bob. Oh, I didn't notice that then. I noticed mostly the way the bob came down, on her cheeks. And
did a weird little puff out thing. It was terrible.
It was the 90s. Puffy. Yeah,
better or worse than Alexander's hair?
Worse.
No, better.
Yeah, Alexander has horrible hair.
Alexander's hair is really
He's just
bad.
got clinging hair.
Yeah,
Alexander's hair is a wig. I don't know if Ro wears a wig.
It didn't look like a wig.
It's better than that fucking haircut she had in Half a Life. I'll give her that.
Also, how much whiskey is in that spiced milk?
So much.
that Picard tries to liquor her up with.
Oh.
I forgot all about the warm milk, so I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I found it distracting that she didn't take out her silly little pajama hair tie.
Oh yeah,
When she went to
I
see
noticed
him, but
that.
she was in uniform.
She put on her uniform, but she left her stupid
She
string.
forgot. She forgot. It was
Yeah,
up there,
I mean, I
that's
guess,
all.
but again, I'm gonna
Do you
make
know
an
how
excuse
often I'm
episode.
wearing glasses and go to find my glasses when they're already on my stupid face?
Like she was freaked out. She's like, okay, I'm gonna go see the captain. Oh, I can't go to in my pajamas, so I'll just throw on
I'm
my
not
uniform.
Troy.
Throw my uniform real quick. Gets there, and then she gets back to her quarters later, incredibly embarrassed that she still has the stupid string in her hair.
Yeah,
I can believe that the hairstylist would go through that logic.
Yeah, no, I could see that. Just not thinking about it. But why, by the by, does Jean-Luc like chill out in his ready room? It's like, dude, go to your quarters, you uptight
What
weirdo.
was Picard wearing this episode? He had
That
like
was
his
the-
Oh, it was his
sweatshirt.
That was
his
his under sweater with his
nighttime
jacket.
sweatshirt.
That's the shirt he wears under the jacket.
Wait, but it's
under
bulkier than his jacket.
No, that's
his suede jacket.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
wearing a suede jacket. He's wearing his like action Picard.
yeah,
jacket.
that's the gray jacket he always wears underneath it.
Oh, okay.
I like
Shirt,
the, I like
It
the
just
gray
seems
shirt.
so bulky.
It
It
does,
looks
but
like a
I mean,
sweatshirt.
they are sweaters. They're like wool
Jumpers.
sweaters.
I'll give him this. He looks
Very
comfy as
cold in
fuck in it.
space.
I just don't understand why he's not in his quarters.
And no one can hear you scream.
No one else really.
But yeah, I actually really do like this episode. It's true
Oh, yeah,
that
it's real
there's not a lot to talk about with this one, which is why you end up getting like
It's such a bottle
you
episode.
end up in the land of pedantry as we've seen.
You mean Jake ends up in the land of pedantry, as we've seen?
Yes,
This
because
is-
the things to talk about are like the sci-fi shit. You know.
This
I
is actually.
still have things to talk about that
you-
isn't your bullshit.
Well, you talk
Tell
about your
us.
shit.
All right, cool. Let's talk about. We were talking about the poker game some more.
Yes.
Oh yeah, what the fuck version of poker was that?
Pair of ladies for the
It
doctor.
was the Federation Day.
No, but the whole.
That was the previous episode, I thought.
Yeah,
I thought
it
that
was.
was a woman's game.
Oh, that's true.
But the like everyone because at first I thought they were going to be doing Texas Hold'em, but then like no, it's just you.
It's been like 400 years. They have new poker.
I'm also sure that this
Advanced
is probably a real game. There's so many.
That's right.
different
I kind of
There's so many
wonder.
different pokers,
Like
yeah.
I was wondering if anyone legitimately knew what version of poker it was.
No, and
Is
honestly,
it Fizbin?
And honestly, I think the Poker Channel should take note for how to make a poker game look suspenseful. Because every time when we saw it several times in a row, it's like every time it was like, oh my god, what's the card gonna be? Oh, it was a queen. No, it's a 3. It was great.
What is the implication, though, that Data assures them that he
Oh,
wasn't
Data's a
stacking the
filthy
deck,
liar. He's basically a
and then he stacks the deck?
Well, I mean,
Why
Jordy
would the
can
deck be
see through.
stacked?
Jordy can see through the fucking cards. Who cares?
That's
They're all
true.
cheating. He's fucking looking through the cards. Data's stacking the deck.
Troy's-
Troy can sense when people are fucking lying. And apparently Bev has the sight or something.
And Worf is just like, why do I always lose?
He's getting warped by the cards.
I made a note I'm proud of. I said, Worf has no poker face. He has resting Klingon face.
Ah.
He got so angry every time he got any card.
Mutter.
Yeah. And whenever no help there for the Klingon still, and he's like,
Jack
Fuck.
still no help for the Klingon.
Yeah,
I
quoted that
like
one.
sassy poker dealer Data.
Yeah, I love that program.
So did he, as you noted earlier.
Yeah, no, it's great. He's right. Keep it up, Data. Good job.
He's doing good.
Yeah, Data's doing great.
Well, plus he probably counts cards, even if deck's not stacked. If
Oh,
he's
yeah.
not dealing,
Oh,
he's counting the fuck out of those
He doesn't
cards.
even count. He memorizes.
He's
the
also
cards.
like his vision. There's another way Geordi could cheat, and Data is that their vision is such that they could probably see like microscopic
Reflections.
abrasions in
Yeah.
like the
Know
surface
which-
of the
and remember
card,
which
and
card
be
is
like,
which.
oh yeah, I remember the ace had that 2-micron
But
scratch.
the way around that would be to replicate a new deck every time.
That's also true.
Oh, that's smart.
That's a lot of waste.
5-card stud.
Oh, okay, that's fairly
I feel
standard.
like, and they've
Why
mentioned
did they
playing
think
five.
Pedantry.
They've mentioned playing
I've
5-card
always
stud
heard
before. I think
7-card stud. I've never-
Apparently there's both.
Oh.
I've only heard of 5-card stud, so I don't know. I've heard
Oh,
of
there we
Hold'em,
go.
which is a
I've heard
7-card
of
game.
both.
Hold'em's a 7-card game, but Hold'em has the community cards.
Yeah, no, I know. I've actually played a little bit of Texas Hold'em badly. I mean, not like well.
I have
but
played a lot in the Yakuza
We
games.
should do a
poker game.
a poker game. We should do a 10 forward of just us playing a poker game.
Perfect, nailed it. Yeah.
Yikes.
Oh, I like
No
that
help for the
idea.
Klingon.
Oh, I was thinking. Speaking of Data being able to use his abilities to do whatever the fuck it is he wants anytime, because that's what we allow. His skill at listening to multiple pieces of music at a time comes back again, where he's able to
Yeah.
listen to all the voices
Oh, yeah,
that
that's
Bev
what's going on.
records.
Good call.
Yeah.
I did not make that connection.
Yeah, so we've seen a consistency, and that's good.
I found
And he did use it to listen to everyone banging, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Because he says how many
Yeah,
people
there
were
are five.
involved in
Five
coitus?
or three
One
couples
of them-
engaged in
3
romantic-
orgasms, 1 sad sigh.
Now, here's the
romantic
thing, though.
scenarios or whatever he said.
Are
Romantic
those...
encounters.
Is
That's it,
that
thank you.
30... what did I say? 38
what?
loops?
Something like that.
Yeah, 38, I think is what you said.
Yeah.
So
let's
is
see.
that... Now, is the sound the accumulated sound of all previous loops?
I believe
That's
so.
what I thought.
So it's not that many people. It's the same people doing it again.
What
and
that
again
does
and
mean, though,
again
is that
and
there
again.
was some couple in the middle of fucking when the ship exploded.
Nice.
How much would that suck?
Well, going out with a bang.
Yeah, but what if you hadn't climaxed yet?
Yeah, I mean, you're dead. You don't know.
Gonna go to the afterlife with
Blue balls.
Do you
and
think?
whatever
Do you
the lady
think? Do you
version
think
of
when you
Blue Balls
woke up
is.
in the next iteration of the loop, you just had a boner, and that was like your
How-
that
how
was
would
your
that be
clue?
any different than
you,
how I-
go to sick bay, and it's like I've been feeling this deja vu in my.
Oh, no.
hard to hide in those uniforms.
I mean, I always wake up with a boner, so
That's
it wouldn't
true.
be that weird for me.
Yeah, but
Hang
it would
on,
just
hang
be
on.
like you were doing your job, and like suddenly, boing.
Amazing.
That's true. My
Um,
job is not very arousing.
How many loops has the Bozeman been on?
Oh Christ!
And why has
so-
no
oh,
one
that-
had deja vu
Okay,
on
more
their ship?
pedantry.
Yep.
More pedantry.
Okay, I'll allow the pedantry.
You
I
paused it
don't
this time.
actually
Damn
think.
it.
I said you asked. You have to.
I don't
Okay.
actually think the Bozeman was in a loop.
No?
Really?
No.
Then how were they?
Well,
stuck in
actually,
the
I think the
past?
Bozeman was in the same number of loops that the Enterprise was in, to be more accurate.
Okay.
I think that the Bozeman, in the past, in 2290, 2278, whatever it was.
$22.99. $3,000.
Whatever
was
time-
the
$1
$1
value.
Yes,
$1.
in whatever time it was,
2278.
the Bozeman encountered a temporal anomaly while in the, what is it?
Typhon?
The
Typhon
Typhon
expanse.
expanse.
Yes, the Tide Pod
While in the
expanse.
expanse, they encounter this
Nice.
temporal anomaly. They pass through it and immediately crash into the Enterprise.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
And then and as they explain, as Geordi explains in the scene with that weird graphic, it's actually the explosion of the Enterprise which creates
Yeah.
the time loop.
I
Okay.
like it.
So
I see.
really it's the Enterprise that's looping, and it encounters the Bozeman, but the Bozeman really actually only travels through the anomaly once.
Okay.
So
That's
from
fair.
the
That's
from the
fair.
perspective of the Enterprise crew, they've hit the Bozeman
37 times.
38, however many times I said.
Yeah.
38 loops, but doesn't that mean 37 times they would hit it?
That's true. So
Thank you.
so 37 times they've hit the Bozeman, but the Bozeman has only hit the Enterprise once. That's why they don't
Or
have
not at all, actually.
That's why they don't have like 100 years worth of accumulated deja vus.
They'd all be insane and have killed themselves.
No, they'd be like Bill Murray. Now they're all good at playing the piano.
Oh, there you go. And they finally get to bang the woman of their dreams.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Worth
Yeah,
it.
because I was trying to wrap my head around because the time loop and the time anomaly
Yeah.
are actually two
different
separate things.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Interesting.
Okay.
But that reminds me of something else. So,
Yes.
The Time Warp?
yeah.
Let's
Okay.
do it again.
Let's do it. It's just a jump to
The
fucking,
left.
It's just a jump to what fucking Worf says. And Worf says at one point when they're saying, anyone have, in the conference room, and they're like, oh no, how do we avoid the explosion and the thing? And Worf says, what if we turn around? And Picard says, for all we know, that's what could have caused it in the first place. To which I say, why would turning around have caused it in the first place if the first time that you ever did it, you were specifically going to a place and probably would never have turned around?
That was just Picard is just knee-jerk disagreeing with Worf at
That's
this
true.
point.
Yeah.
And then throwing him across
Maybe we
the
should
room.
go to
Really?
Red Alert. Shut the fuck up.
Really,
Worf.
No, I'm
Worf
really
had the
starting to
best
understand-
idea.
I'm really starting to understand why Worf decides to transfer to Deep Space Nine. But you know what?
Spoilers.
No one here listens to me.
Belay that order, Mr. Worf.
Picard.
Fine, okay, why am I here?
But Picard was like, don't turn around. Uh-oh.
Now, here's a question, right?
Jacome with showers and sounds.
Well, uh-oh. Nailed it.
So they were in the time loop.
They were.
Again.
Once they escape the time loop, basically end the causal event, stop the causal event.
Do whatever Riker said, but
Grandfather
also
paradox?
it's not only doing what Riker said, but it's doing what Riker said in addition to what Data said. Because Worf, I think, was already enacting whatever Data's plan was. So I think the two together was the answer.
And what did they do? They like opened the, or they decompressed the
Main
shuttle bay.
So it's just like a big,
And then the tractor beam was the other plan.
big blast of air just
like whooshed out of it.
Whooshed out of it.
Or whooshed into it or out of it?
Out.
Okay.
So it was just like a little rocket that just pushed the Enterprise a little bit.
Brilliant.
And then
That's how they could. That's how they could move around whenever impulse and warp aren't working.
But it only works once.
Once
it's
all
decompressed,
That's all you
that's
need in
it.
the vacuum of space.
And also everybody in there's dead. I hope there was nobody in that shuttle bay.
Just O'Brien.
Just Finney.
But yes.
But yeah, so what I was thinking though is if they've been in this time loop and they're off by 17.4 days by the time they get out, does that mean
Yes.
if they had tried to contact a Federation time beacon before they escaped the loop, would they A, not have been able to contact the beacon because they were cut off from outside?
I'm willing to bet that, yeah.
Or would they have contacted the beacon and it would have read the time of their original passage through the loop? Or would they have contacted the beacon and it would have been like, you're off by 13 days. And they'd be like, what the fuck's wrong with our clock?
I'm willing to bet the first one where it's like the loop probably would have cut them off from external communications.
Insulated.
They just didn't know because they hadn't been trying to reach out.
So that also raised the question, I mean, if they had just turned around...
Well, yes, okay.
If they had turned... Oh, yeah. So that's true. So, everything has to be happening at the same speed and time.
What?
Because why?
Because they crash into the Bozeman every time.
Yeah.
If they were off by even seconds,
Wibbly
they would have missed the
wobbly,
Bozeman.
tiny,
wibbly wobbly.
flim flam man.
Why me?
Anyway.
Flam
I don't know.
man.
This episode raised a lot of
What is that
interesting...
from? There was a flam man.
This is like the kind of
There's a
shit
couple of
me and my high
Flim Flam
school
men.
friends would have, like, talked about for weeks.
And don't worry, everyone. The Bozeman crew goes on to become the official shakedown crew for the Enterprise E, and are then given the Bozeman A, according to a novel.
What kind of ship is the Bozeman A?
I do not remember.
Is it also Reliant class?
I hope they're like, man, we're gonna get a shiny new ship, and they're like, nope, just like the Enterprise A, it's just the same old ship, different paint job.
It is a pretty good idea, though. It's like, all right, we have to acclimate you to the future. Go test some new stuff. Learn it and see if it breaks.
Also, everyone you've ever known is dead.
I know, that's
Or
what I was
exceptionally
thinking.
old.
Like, that was what Picard's talk was going to be like. I think you need to beam aboard. We have some things to discuss. And I was like, everyone you love is dead.
Yep.
McCoy's
All
still
of them.
around.
Yeah, well, McCoy cannot
Yeah,
die
it's-
because he's, like, fucking embalmed from all the mint juleps.
And it just so happens we have your grandson on board. It's
Don't
Captain
bone
Picard.
him. Don't accidentally bone him.
Yes.
Yowza.
Yeah, that's something you got to be really careful about when you've been when you've been transported 100 years.
That's
into the
why I
future.
don't time travel.
Not boning your descendants.
It's the only reason I don't, too.
But that's okay.
Actually,
that's not
we
that's
could
just
safely,
gross.
because we'll
Like,
never
you
have
can
children.
I don't know.
bone
I
your
don't want to. I don't want to
descendants.
bone like a great
It's just
nephew or
gross.
something.
That's fair,
Like,
but that's not
it's
as bad
gonna
as your own
break
kid.
time.
It's still
not
pretty
a great
bad, though.
time, but, you know.
It's gross.
Yeah, it's definitely like the family taboo.
Yeah.
It depends on how you feel about
But it's the
cousins.
future.
The family taboo.
And as we'll find out next week, there is some really interesting new views about sexuality and nudity in particular.
Oh.
In terms of
I hope it's data.
what is appropriate to do with children in a hot tub.
I hope it's data.
No, I do not.
To that end, Wesley next week will visit the hot tub.
Ew.
Gonna get it in the hot.
With his
With
mom.
who? Oh,
No!
that is mom.
No, Leffler's not around.
Oh, she is, in fact, also Sovereign class.
Who
Who
is?
is?
The Bozeman A.
Oh, that's nice. Well, because they got used to that kind of shit.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, alright. I think, have we got any more on these shitholes? I like both of these shows. I know they're mixed bag, it sounds like, for everybody else. So
I love cause
Overall, I
and
like
effect.
them.
I like them both.
I like
Yeah.
them both overall.
Outcast, I
Yeah.
think, could have been executed better, but we had also a really
Yeah.
great and very long conversation about
I
it.
mean, here's the thing. It could always be executed better, especially since presumably, like, how many gay people worked on that script.
Well,
I'm going to say
also,
0.
and particularly if you're looking at,
0.5.
especially if you're looking at it from our perspective, whereas it's sort of standing in for like more of a trans story. I have to keep sort of reminding other people that the vast majority of mainstream humans weren't even thinking about trans people like 10 years ago. Maybe not even 5 years ago.
They didn't even think of the pronoun they at the time.
You know, so I mean, like, I'm not saying like that's good, but it is like we've come a long distance, so to expect something from almost 20 years ago to, I don't know. Anyway.
This is more than 25 years ago.
1992?
No, that's true.
This is a long time ago.
25 and a half-ish.
So yeah, it is a long time. Yeah, it's a quarter century ago. And we've made a quarter century, I'd say, of progress, but we still have a ways to go.
We've gone 50 years back in time in the last 2, though.
Yeah,
Woo!
true that.
To the moon!
But all right, I think we've done these episodes to death, so I'll take us out.
Is that what's okay to do with kids in hot tubs? Because that's fucked up,
we'll
Jake.
get to that. So, next week on A Star to Steer Her By, we're going to be discussing 2 episodes of the Star Trek Generation Next.
Generation Next.
The first is
Every fucking
The
week.
First Duty. The First Duty.
Truth.
Truth is the first duty. Yes, we'll have a return of a beloved character.
Return of a
Wow.
beloved character.
Wow!
Beloved character returns next week in the first duty. 2 other beloved characters will also return next week in the following episode, appropriately aired first on 420 in Cost of Living.
That does work, actually, very nicely.
Yeah, that's. I wish I had thought of that first.
Did they do that in 1992?
Smoke pot?
No, Celebrate 420.
I don't know, but
I don't know.
Who even knows?
I don't know.
There's no one
Point
alive
is,
who can tell us.
They were stoned. Fucking stoned
Especially
when they made this
Alexander.
episode, but it's Cost of Living. Cost of Living. It's a living. So both those episodes coming up next week on A Star to Steer Her By. Until then, catch us online at
We have another one to record. Please go faster.
Facebook Theater. No.
Flatearth.com/A Star to Steer By.
Start SSHB Podcast on
I'll create it.
Twitter
don't
and
you wait.
Tumblr. SSHBpodcast.com in your web browser. Facebook, search for A Star to Steer Her By. You can also find us on podcasts. We're a podcast. Download us from podcasts
.com/iTunes
Google
Interrobang.
.soundcloud.
Here.
And that's about it. That's all I got. If you do any of those things, send us a message, write a review. You food.
You food.
Send us food. Send us candy.
No, we have too much candy.
Send
We
me
have
candy.
candy.
I brought cookies.
Ooh.
That's true. We did bring cookies.
All right. Well, we have to eat cookies. So good night, Las Vegas. My name has been Jake.
This has been Chris.
Good night, Seattle. We love you. This is Ames. Sorry, that was unclear.
This is always Caitlin.
And this is also Liz.
Bye-bye. I'm not going to sing the song.
Fuck you!